Hey guys, it's Caroline. So this is my fourth attempt, I think, at doing a live video today. So fingers crossed the connection keeps up this time. So I don't think I've mentioned this in my lives, but I've been spending a bit of time at my parents' house. So it's been a little bit challenging finding spots to shoot videos. So when I'm at home, I've got a little spot set up where I normally shoot videos, and yeah, just having to get a little bit creative. We're finding different spots to shoot each day. Okay, so let's get right into it. I think I was saying before actually, so a bit more casual today. That's because I'm going for a run with my dad shortly. So if you've known me for a while, you might know that my dad used to be a long distance running champion. And we haven't trained together for a few years, but whenever I get the chance, I love going for a run with him because it helps me improve. And I was just reflecting on, just the whole notion that a good way to shortcut the learning process if you want to improve a particular skill, or in business, or if you're struggling with a particular issue, is to find someone who's really great at it, and to just piggyback off them, have them mentor you. And so one way that I've improved heaps in my running is by training with my dad. So anyway, let's get right into it. So that wasn't the theme of this video, but just thought I'd throw that in. So today I'm continuing on with the Money Mindset series, where I've been talking about your relationship with money, and in particular around the 6 types of money. So far we've covered savings and we've covered debt, and today we're going to talk about income. So, all right, when it comes to income, I really just like to dive right in because this one is best tackled just on a practical level. So I actually want you to just take a few seconds to think about your income. So, how much you earn, when you get paid, whether that's something regular. So some people get paid fortnightly, other people get paid monthly. So we're typically referring to, income from a job, if you work in a job, or if it's from your business, like what is sort of a regular amount that makes sense to you at a particular interval. And so what I want you to do is to, just pick a number. It doesn't have to be exact, just something close. You can sort of round it, I don't know, to the nearest 500 or 1,000, whatever makes sense for you. But I want you to visualize that number. So actually picture, when that money comes in. So when it hits your bank account, just sort of try to see that figure. And what I want you to take note of is whether any feelings are coming up around the visualization of that amount of money. And the reason I'm asking you to do that is when it comes to income, so particularly if it is a salary that comes in monthly or fortnightly, then a lot of people start to have these feelings of maybe anxiety or even frustration around this amount of income that comes in. And it's not because the income is bad. I mean, earning income is great. We couldn't survive without it. But this sort of feeling of stress starts to come up. And the reason that happens is because often there's this little voice that's going on in the back of your head that starts to say, it's not enough. Like the money always runs out. So, I get paid every month, but by the end of the month, I've got nothing left and I'm waiting on that next paycheck. So this little voice just sees that amount of money and says, it's never enough. And so, that obviously generates an amount of stress and an amount of frustration. And so if that is resonating with you, so if you sort of heard that and thought, yeah, okay, that does happen to me, you did have some negative feelings that came up around visualizing your income, then I want you to think about how long you felt like this. So is this something that, always happens to you month in, month out? So you sort of expect this amount of money to come in, but you don't feel good about it. You just get it and you know that it's not going to be enough. And if that's the case, then think about how long that's been happening to you. Go back as far as you can, think of or imagine, maybe even to your first job, and sort of start to think about, your different stages of life. So, if I take myself as an example, so I can picture my very first full-time corporate job and the income that I earned back there. So, until I started working on my money mindset, I remember feeling like I would run out of money each month. And it was easy at the time to think, well, I only earn this amount of money. Life would be so different if I earned, $1,000 more, or if I earned double that. And when I think over my corporate career, I, doubled that several times over, probably more. And still I found myself month in, month out thinking that the money wasn't enough. And so, that then makes you think it's not actually about the exact amount of money that you're earning. It's actually an energy that you carry, because, as your income increases, if you're carrying that energy that it's never enough, then you find ways to make all of your expenses increase as well, so that the money is never enough. And it's kind of this funny thing where you sort of go, how is it that it's always just exactly not enough? It's not like you're left not being able to make your mortgage repayment, for example. So you have enough just to cover everything, but then it runs out. And so hopefully you can start to understand what I'm saying around this really being an energy. So it's an energy, and then it then also becomes a habit. So you carry this energy, it runs through your nervous system, and then you start to behave in ways that ensure that the money always runs out. And so it's this cycle, this pattern of behavior that, then leaves you with that feeling that the income is never enough. So as a result of the combination of that energy and your spending patterns, and usually in line with that is people not saving, and that might also cause people to get into debt. So hopefully you can start to see how the different types of money start to relate to each other as well. But the purpose of me going through these 6 types of money is that hopefully you can see, I suppose, where your strongest, weak point is, because that's the one that you want to focus on first, and you want to really fix that. And you'll find that if you can fix that really tough point, then the other areas sort of start to improve naturally, and you can work on those in parallel as well. Okay, so just getting back to income. So I was saying, you really just want to focus on those different stages of life, and you want to work out for yourself whether it's a pattern that perhaps you've had, because it's really quite interesting. So, even this idea that, okay, if my income doubled, surely that would be enough. Often what happens is, people find a partner, and so you put 2 incomes together and the income kind of has doubled, maybe more. And, without fail, it's still not enough. So there's obviously something going on there. And so that's what I want to point out now. So, when you do find yourself caught in that sort of pattern, what I want to point out is that pattern is actually really common for people who either struggled with childhood poverty or who grew up in just middle-class families. So you wouldn't necessarily call that poverty, but a lot of the behaviors tend to be the same, because in middle-class families, money tends to run out. And so, the thoughts that typically would go through your mind around the concept of income in a middle-class family is, that's just how it is for people like us. So, people who sort of are in the middle class, and I'm not saying that, classes sort of matter, like there's no judgment around this. It's more just to say, people who grew up in a certain environment where money always ran out and was only just enough tend to carry these different thought patterns and classify themselves as being in a certain group. So you may not call it middle class, but you definitely don't associate with, being one of the wealthy. And so therefore, that does create some sort of a separation, which then, introduces different thought and emotion patterns. And so basically that then gets people to form a certain type of interaction with income. And this then manifests itself like through your own adult life because of the things that you would have picked up through your childhood. And so we call this your family paradigm. And in later videos, I'll talk about this in a lot more detail. But for this video, I just want you to get this idea that, if you do have that feeling that money runs out all the time, then that is typically something that you would have learned as part of your family paradigm. Now, it's not even necessarily things that, say, your parents or whoever cared for you, doesn't have to be something that they directly taught you. It's actually more things that you would have observed as a child. So quite often as kids, I know I used to listen in on adult conversations and, thought I was really grown up listening in. But often what happens when you do that is you're listening to something that's maybe beyond your level of understanding. And so you interpret it a certain way. And so as kids, we start to form these different beliefs about money that may have been based on a conversation or an event that we didn't even fully understand. So you don't necessarily know the context, but it leaves you to then interpret your own financial status. And so part of this does get based on things that you observe from your household, from your parents, your family. Another common area or common source of sort of forming these childhood beliefs about money is environments like school. So if you think back, and it may not come to you instantly, but maybe, later on, just take a moment to reflect on this and have a think about, as a child, when was the very first time that you formed an opinion about your own financial standing or financial status? Like, are there things that other kids said or, ways that people behaved that for the first time you said to yourself, I'm either rich or I'm poor, or, whatever it was? Like, how did you know that you were in a certain financial group? And, at what point did you put a label on that? And what was that label? And so these are interesting things to think about, because it's those formations and those initial beliefs that, if you don't know how to challenge them and redirect that programming, they're things that you start to carry into your adult life that can really affect your relationship with money, and in particular income, which we're talking about today. The other area where you would form beliefs about money too is how hard you have to work for money. Because what I find with a lot of people is that even though some people are able to start to break through, that ceiling of like an income cap that you might set for yourself, some people really work themselves into the ground to earn that money. And that in itself is a self-limiting belief as well. So, okay, so let's talk about, I guess, what happens with these feelings and beliefs. So when you do pick up these different ideas as a child, if you don't know how to challenge them and correct them, then they end up getting stored in your nervous system. And that's what causes you to experience different levels of anxiety and frustration when you get that paycheck month in, month out, and you just feel like, it's not enough. And so you've kind of just got, the word's not coming to me, indifference. So you feel a bit indifferent towards it because you know that it's going to run out. And so, the basis of this is a really strong self-limiting belief from childhood that basically says, I can never get ahead. And so if you carried this belief as a child, then getting paid a regular income every month or every fortnight will be a constant reminder of the fact that you believe you can never get ahead. And so interestingly too, these program beliefs also create a set point for you on the amount of income that you can earn. And so a lot of people get stuck at a certain level of income. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about income goals. So we'll cover that in a lot more detail in that video. But typically the result of that is a lot of people find it hard to earn, any more than a particular level, because they've established this set point on what their earning capacity is as well. So I guess then the next question is, what can you do about this? So what can you do to stop feeling negative about your income, and how can you start to correct some of these program beliefs? So look, one tip that I want to give you that works pretty much instantly. So, it's something that I know a lot of people do on occasion, but we forget to do it. But if you really start to adopt this as part of your daily routine, you're going to see such a massive change in your relationship with money. And in particular, in the way that you interact with, how you feel about your income. And so that tip that you can implement straight away is to learn to express gratitude. So I will do a lot more in-depth work on gratitude as well in a separate video, but just for today, I want to show you a really simple and practical way that you can use gratitude. So really it's as simple as just being grateful and saying thank you for some of the small things you have. And it might even be the significant things you have, like your amount of income, that for whatever reason, as we've just talked about, you don't feel grateful for. And you take these things for granted and you even feel negative about them. And so, the real benefit here is that if you can start to feel grateful for the small things and the things that come in consistently, then you'll attract a lot more bigger things with ease in your life, because you're generating and operating with a lot more positive and abundant energy. And so, what I want you to do here is replace that thought and that feeling of it's never enough with I'm so happy and grateful that I earn X amount of income, and it's able to put a roof over my head, it's able to feed me, feed my family, I'm able to go on great holidays. I have a car that takes us to where we need to go. I'm able to, invest money in my education, in courses, and maybe even make a contribution to something. So whatever it is that income does for you, I want you just to take a moment and to do this every day, and to just stop and pause and just tell yourself that you're grateful for what this money is doing for you. Because if you can't be grateful for what you've got already, you're going to find it really hard to bring more into your life. And even if you do bring more into your life, you'll carry that same energy of feeling like it's not good enough and it's never enough. And if you don't feel good about it, then what's the point? Because you'll stay, potentially as unhappy as you are in the current position. And so gratitude will really start to shift that energy for you, and it will start to rewire a bit of that programming. Maybe not to the fullest level, but it's definitely the simplest and most immediate tip I can give you to implement that will change the way that you feel about income. So what you can do as well, if you want to sort of take it up to the next level, is come up with a list of things that you are grateful for. Like you can just, rattle them off like I did, or you can actually write these things out, write out the things you're grateful for. And you can also use a bit of tapping, which I showed you how to do that in the last video. So last time we just used the collarbone point, which is here. But you can also use all the other tapping points. So you can use, you can just sort of do a rotation with your eyebrow point, your side of the eye. We've got under the eye, under the nose, on the chin, so collarbone point, and then there's also one under your arm as well. And so you can express those words of gratitude while you tap through the point, and that's going to help to physically settle the energy in your body as well, and to start to ingrain the beliefs that you're grateful, and to, flow that energy of gratitude and abundance through your nervous system as well. And you'll see how much better you feel just by doing this for a couple of minutes every day. So give it a go. Leave me a comment if you try it. Let me know what you think of that technique, or if you already do express gratitude and how that's working for you. So I hope you found that helpful today. So in my next video, we're going to continue with the money mindset series, all about your relationship with money. And next time we're going to be focusing on income goals, which is all about how you can set stretch goals for yourself. And how you can create more abundance by setting outrageous goals. So have a great rest of the day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.